with all of you. Thank you. So that you can also use it within your institutions. I'm really, really excited to be joining you this afternoon and hosting this very important conversation around advancing locally led development in Southeast Africa, where we will get insights from the Local Leadership Lab initiative. And a heartfelt thank you once again to our members, partners, funders, civil society actors, and friends of the network who are with us this afternoon. So this session is part of the African Philanthropy Network's ongoing efforts to strengthen voice and action of philanthropy and to promote as well the voices and agents and leadership in the development sector. And this is coming right under the Local Leadership Initiative, which is supported by our partner, Civicus. My name is Tarsai Jangara. For those who have not met me before, I work for the Africa Philanthropy Network as the member and communications lead. And I'm going to be your host and moderator for this very important conversation this afternoon. And today we are also joined by CAP-AIDS Uganda, FEMEFORT Uganda, and To Boot Africa Initiative from Tanzania. So why we are here, you might be wondering. I know you have seen all the invitations, the posts that we have shared on social media, but today's important conversation is really anchored in the Local Leadership Initiative, which is really a global initiative and effort led by the Civicus that seeks to break down the various barriers from political, technical, behavioral that really prevent local civil society from being recognized and resourced as a key development actor. So we have our partners from Southeast Africa, that is Tanzania and Uganda, who are going to really talk to us about what community-led development looks like in their context. We already know this, that community-led development is alive and thriving. But often we are always talking about this. It's not recognized or it's under-recognized. Local organizations, movements, networks, we know that they are doing a lot of critical work to support community-led development, but the challenges that they face are around either the shrinking civic space, structural exclusion, and resourcing. So the webinar is really about spotlighting these efforts that are coming from our partners. But just to touch a bit, under the Local Leadership Initiative, APN is a regional convener. We are the convening partner in Southeast Africa, and we are working with national, subnational partners such as CAP-AIDS Uganda, FEMEFORT Uganda, Tubutu, and our other members, APN members in Tanzania. And our role in this is to facilitate dialogues like the important one that we are having today, to connect the grassroots leadership with regional and global platforms, and also just to amplify local knowledge and practices so that philanthropy and development actors, they really recognize the value of what it means to appreciate the locally led development. So in today's session, we are going to hear the practical insights from Uganda, like I've mentioned, Tanzania, and even beyond, because we have our partners joining from across the globe on how locally led is being practiced. We are going to move from theory to practicality so that whatever we say today are actions that are scalable, that can be replicated, or where you guys, everyone who is here, can also just learn from. We are also just going to reflect on the emerging opportunities and what's next. How can we partner? How can we work together? But just for me to just pause here briefly and just allow the participants, the speakers, to introduce themselves. I'll just call upon CAP-AIDS Uganda. If you can just introduce yourself, and in that same vein, just say briefly the mandate of your institution. Thank you so much.
Space is the humanitarian space. And yet when we are talking of building community resilience, talking of sustainability, talking of transformation in the lives of the people in the communities that we serve, or transforming communities, we must be talking development. And hence what we have done is create that space, create the space for the local and national act, create the safe and contextualized space for local and national actors to share their voice and for us to simply listen. So for us to come back to the same level, we are all communities, whether you're a national organization, whether you're a community-based organization, whether you're a human rights activist, whether you're the media, whether you're a community influential person in the community. We've created that space to just come together and think through locally led development and give a safe place for people to contribute. There are no education levels. We put all our guns down and just provided that safe space and platform to listen to local and national actors. And my colleague will share the link on the report that we produced. And we've been able to gather a lot of information, rich text, rich information, which is contextualized across the 7 regions of Uganda on locally led development. And what I'm sharing now is the voices of over 200 local and national actors, cutting from a broad spectrum of, are you a community-based organization? Are you a community influencer? Are you that person that the community looks to for help or for support or for reference or for referral? And there are so many interesting things that have come up in that report. My colleague will just post the link there. But I thought that documenting local philanthropy, local voices, documenting the voices of local and national actors and making it visible out there across the spectrum has been central for us as CAP AIDS Uganda. And in creating this awareness and in sharing these voices, we have had the support of various international community that are actually yearning to go localization or yearning to drive locally led development. And so that is a big step for us, because before, if you invite an international actor to a locally led event, you would not get any, or even approaching them would be a problem. But for CAP AIDS to be able to approach and they listen to us and come and input into the voices and contribute has been a major step for us, hence the report that we have produced. We are also advocating for government-led approach, and it is evident that localization or locally led development is embedded in one of our policies on local economic development that opens by the government, that advocates for transparency, collaboration with the donor community, collaboration with the local government institutions to drive locally led development, but also to provide social accountability for the social services that we provide. And in that, we are part of the National Steering Group for National Task Force for Localization, where we are trying to ensure that the voices of local and national actors come to the spaces where the decisions and the policies are made, but also we are contributing to designing the strategy that will inform the drive for locally led development in Uganda. We are creating networks which act as a platform for communities and actors to be accountable to their respective communities, but also take charge rather than working in a siloed approach. That has ended. We need to collaborate. We need to communicate. We need to work with each other so that we can have a bigger reach, we can have also better outcomes, and we can collectively drive resilience building through locally led development in our respective communities. So that's why you see us steering or being the secretariat to the local coalition accelerator that is bringing together over 13 local and national actors. We are also now the chairing the national humanitarian platform, which is not only looking at the local actors or the CSOs, we're looking at the media, we're looking at the private sector, we're looking at the government of Uganda, the CSOs, the researchers, so that we have legislative advocacy in terms of policy that advocates for centralizing local philanthropy, local community knowledge and experts as important in responding to communities and also in driving locally led development. So that's what we have been doing so far. as CAP AIDS Uganda, and we continue to advocate for locally led development. And we are happy that recently, because of that advocacy, Code Aid has actually invited us to be part of the process of designing the locally led development strategy in Uganda. And it is embedding, or it is articulating to their global strides or global efforts towards promoting locally led development. So it's an indicator that the advocacy we are making for locally led development is being heard, and is going beyond being heard, but also being put into action, while we also do it at our small level, and also participate in meaningful engagements that advance the ideas or the ideology of local philanthropy and locally led development. Like, we just participated in the Local Philanthropy Week that was led by Civ Legacy here in Uganda, but also Civ Legacy, and also the Uganda National NGO Forum. So these are very important discussions that we are being part of it and driving it in whatever structure and format that we can, while ensuring that the space is safe and the space is accommodative to all the actors in the spectrum. Over to you, Tarsai.
Thank you very much, Naomi. You're not only being heard, seen, but you're seeing results. There are actions, there are organizations that are partnering with you. So you are supporting them to design their own strategies, which is something that we really appreciate as the African Philanthropy Network, where we have institutions that can stand and serve examples of what community-led development looks like. And thank you so much for that important research. If you're joining us, the link has been dropped in the chat, so please, the title is even, what does community-led development look like in Uganda? I think it sums it up all, but still remaining grounded in Uganda. I would want to call up Hope from Feme Forte so that she can just tell us from her perspective, and also just aligning it and grounding it at a practical level. What is your organization doing to promote locally led development?
Thank you very much, Tarisai. So, FemFort, we have strengthened movements and networks. We have built the capacity of grassroots organization and collectives to set their own priorities. I'll give you an example. We work with market women, where we have taken them through training of advocacy, how to localize philanthropy without looking out there for going international, looking for funders. So, and then these market women, with all the trainings we have given them, they came up with circles. And these circles, these are the savings and credit cooperatives, where they now strengthen their business, but also serve as a sustainable model for collective growth and resilience. We have also, because we are also subnational conveners under the Local Leadership Lab, we have done a research about the state of civil society in Uganda, where we looked at how traditional and non-traditional actors can amplify social movement buildings. The research identified civil society challenges such as expensive and burdensome regulatories, like the way the government sometimes is hard on us with the taxes for the organization. It also looked at the compliance processes, transparency and accountability. So yeah, and through that research, we have given data of what is happening in the civil society in Uganda. Another thing we have also done is, we have also convened, like giving a safe space for marginalized grassroots organizations. For example, the LBQ, the sex workers, we give them a free space for them to come, and maybe they can't afford the venues. So we give them a free space at our offices to come and talk about how they can develop themselves. Yeah, so we have in that we have created inclusive platforms for them. I'm talking about also shifting power to communities. So when we, in that research, we realized that the power is always up there, but now we want to shift power to the community. We want, with that, the communities can have a say in whatever, in all their, they can have a say in whatever they are doing or the implementations and everything. But again, it goes back to us training them in advocacy and taking control. Yes, that's pretty much that we have done as FarmFort. Thank you, Tarisai.
Thank you so much, Hope. From the women's circles, they are really interesting. I would want to hear more about that concept, then the research that you have carried out on state of the civil society in Uganda. I think it's something that with time would also just want to unpack and see how that it is promoting, your research paper is promoting on unraveling the key issues or opportunities to engage better and to promote local-led development in Uganda. Please do share the link in the chat. I know I had promised to share, but I don't have it right on hand. I'll cross over to Jonathan. Let's hear what is happening in Tanzania. What does this local-led development look like, and how are you promoting it as an institution?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tarisai. And if you don't mind, please, before I start my sharing, allow me to introduce my colleague, Mr. Elibariki Petro. Elibariki, if you please, can you just unmute your mic and your camera so that people can see you. Elibariki is our program manager, is the one who is behind all the successes we are having at TAI. And it's very fortunate that he is here with us. So I wanted to just cherish him and show my appreciation on the good work that he's doing. I don't see him, but I think maybe he's not able to share his camera.
Thanks, Jonathan. Jonathan, thanks. That's definitely part of the locally led development. What you have just done right there, giving flowers where they are due as well. We appreciate all the staff, the people who also work behind the scenes. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. So now to start, Tarisai, for us as TAI, we think local-led development has many faces, and it can be defined in many different ways, and still it can make sense. And for us, we say locally-led development is about giving space to the communities to share whatever they want, which to them connotates as development, giving them a first priority. If you are able to take that one and you put it into practical, then you are championing local-led development. And the second thing is, having people who are sweating and they are breaking their backs to make sure that the interest of the community is reached and is manifested. So I would say at TAI, the TAI team is one of the, it's among the people that are putting priority, not from their own interest, but from the interest of the community to make sure that there is a development in their communities. And not only TAI, but even other development practitioners who are attending here. I understand that there is so much in which they put into the community than what they are earning. And to me, that is championing community-led development. They are actually putting it into practicalities. Some of them, they are volunteering. Some of us here, we don't have even funds, but we are able to get some amount of money to even buy internet bundles to attend this meeting. And the purpose here is to learn, get more knowledge, so that you become a seed. Wherever you're going, you'll be a seed to replicate and multiplicate the knowledge which we are getting here. That is also part of local-led development. Now, getting back to what we are doing. So we are working in around 5 different thematic areas, from the health promotion, community health promotion, to economic development, to climate justice, education, and right awareness. And all of this, our favorite approach is community philanthropy. So we make sure that as per our mission and vision, what we do is to trigger the mindset of communities, to show them that they don't need to wait for someone else from outside of their communities. If at all, the resources that they are that are needed for them to execute, to take some steps towards development are present there. They have to take it and they initiate, and other people will find them on their way while they are doing. And that's how we do in health. We don't need to wait for people to whisper or shout that you have to go to hospital to take your baby born to clinic. You just need to be aware by yourself. Even climate justice, you don't need to wait for someone else out there to come and tell you that you have to plant trees, otherwise we are going to die. That is what we do, and our communities are taking it up. And of course, at some point, they are also asking for external support, but it doesn't need to be a condition that without external support, they cannot do it. They have to do it, and those ones who are willing to support, they will come and find them along the way. But again, we said, okay, if we are promoting economic empowerment, with the reason that economies, finances, and social issues are two things that are depending on each other. You need money to solve social problems, but also not every social problem is solved by money. Some are not with money. So there is a balance between money and social. And we said, okay, if we are now helping our communities to access money to do initiatives, economic initiatives, why can't we as an organization, because we are also a legal individual, we are an institution, we need money. Without money, we'll be collapsing. Why can't we also think of that? Instead of just going to the community and tell them, and of course they are taking it up, but what about Thubutu as an organization? So through that, we managed to also to establish some businesses which eventually will or have already started bringing in money. And at the end of the day, we want, a life which is a kind of free. We want freedom. We want to execute our activities in such a way that not necessarily that we get money from somewhere else. Even without that money, we'll be existing and we're able to continue our volunteering and bring development in our communities. And that is what for us, we term as local-led development. So the businesses that we have established, we have a company which is a social enterprise owned by Thai. It's called the TAF. So this is Thai, but again, the company is called the TAF. And TAF is Thubutu Africa Avocado Farm. We are farming avocado, and as you know, avocado as a fruit is booming up, becoming like the most wanted fruit in the world. And there is a good money. So we have already taken that initiatives, and we are lucky that this year was our first harvest. And we are proud to announce to the public that we have made some few dollars out of the farm. So we are also developing other enterprises. We are bringing in water, bringing water in a community which do not have water at all. And we managed to drill a borehole. Now it is at the final stages. We'll be getting water to people, safe water, and we are actually bringing technology called the reverse osmosis, which is purifying water and making it good for human being consumption, but also for livestock. Livestock walks around 10 kilometers every day to go and get water, and it is from the same water source where people and livestock also access water. So we'll be addressing the the health challenge, but in a business way. We are also having another enterprise called the Thubutu Gold. This is an enterprise which is we are cooperating with sunflower farmers, girls who are disadvantaged and who farm sunflower, and we brought in the business case in that. So these are the three concrete cases that I want to bring to you to just show that we are also executing business to make sure that we sustain the organization. Thank you so much for now.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. We're just trying to keep up with those interesting examples that are really flowing beyond the theory. But what was really of interest is you were speaking. I was just taking down some notes. You really spoke about triggering the mindset of communities. And I wanted to get it right from you. What are the most effective methods you have used to really help communities to believe in and to act on their own agency?
All right. So the effective methods which we have applied, and maybe before even those ones, we conducted a mean survey to the communities. And the aim was actually trying to find out, to just get to know about what they think about development. And especially when you compare the traditional development and the community philanthropy approach of development. And it's fun that what we got was shocking us, because we thought people are very happy to just get money for free, or to, like someone from somewhere else comes and say, okay, I'm going to plant this building in your community. It's going to help you and all of that. But in that mean survey, people say, actually, majority of them, about 80%, they said they were very happy in the engagement and also asking them to contribute in the development. And there's one respondent who even said, I have been wondering, been actually getting frustrated that some people take us for granted that we don't have money to contribute to the development. While if we contribute, we feel more proud that we have brought development in our community. And that's where we realized that it's very easy. It's just the way that you have to ask them what they want and how they want it to be done. If you follow that kind of strategy, then you are able to influence them so quickly and change their mindset. But again, another strategy, we are good in social behavior change communication. And it's one of our cornerstone. And it is just the normal discussion that you discuss with them at household level. You show them the reality and how, like how the traditional kind of aid is kind of eroding our, our culture and our strength, our like our identity, all those kind of things are packaged in a social behavior communication package. And through that communication, then we get to change their mindset. And that's why, they become very good contributors and actors in the initiatives that they do.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for those insights. I really love the fact that you're saying communities they have the potential and they're already leading their own development, and the frustration of being left out or being sidelined and implementing other people's priorities in courts. But at this stage, I am just seeing interesting insights on the chat as well. Matt, thank you so much. He says when communities are at the front, they will know the pain of funding their future. And I might have missed some. Funding their future and current aspirations with ease, of course, with support. Then he adds on, as development actors, we need to shift the power of localization agenda by acting as purely facilitators in providing resources. Thank you so much, mate. If you have any comments or questions that are coming about as the discussion evolves, please do drop them on the chat so that we interact further. I just want to cross over back to Uganda. Naomi, you mentioned a very interesting research around locally led development. And in my mind, I was wondering, what strategies have you been using to ensure that the research findings do influence policy and donor practice? Because having a research is one thing, but seeing tangible results from an advocate's point of view is also another thing. So maybe if you can just touch briefly and tell us the most effective strategies that as an organization you're utilizing to ensure that your research does not just remain on paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Charissa. One of the things that we did was to ensure that the voices documented are not altered in any way. 2, limited the use of jargons. 3, the document is readable and understandable. That was the start of it. And also we made sure that we are not owning it as CAP 8, but we are simply creating a platform for these voices to transition into the space where it can be heard. So as local leadership labs conveners, we've also utilized platforms like Africa Philanthropy Network. We have worked with our partners in terms of Civicus Global Alliance to ensure that these voices get out of the community into the regional and the global space. I've shared a link with one of the OPD that we've been able to produce. Those are not my voices, it's the voices of the community members. So one of them was to ensure that we document and not change the voices of the members or the last mile actors or the community, and also limit the usual jargons in this research. The second strategy was utilize the already existing platforms like APN, utilize the platforms of Global Civicus Alliance, utilize the platform of Funders Insight with the support of Civicus Global Alliance to have these voices heard. Nationally, we were able to organize a national high-level engagement where we're able to also have the participation of our regional convener, APN, and then the donor representative themselves, and also our family in Asia that also participated in this engagement, so that the voices can go beyond community, beyond Uganda, to the regional and to the global space. Now, we also targeted the participants in the national high-level engagement, and we have the international community that we already know are the converted, that are not looking at locally led development as the current flavor of the time, but are actually interested in changing, in institutionalizing change in the way they do things. And one of them is Plan International, Care International, Code Aid. And we are saying, actually, even War Child Canada called us. So we are saying this international community calls, share the report, share the findings. But we're trying to make sure that it is ready and protected for it to go into the global space. Right now, even when you click on the link that my colleague has shared, it's still protected, because we have to also protect the voices of the local and national actors as we share it out. But the other strategy is going to be working with Global Civic Arts Alliance to ensure that it is published. So those are the strategies that we have used from local to global. We also had a webinar engaging all as a feedback mechanism or accountability mechanism. What did we do with the voices that you gave to us as far as locally led development is concerned? And we were able to share it back that this is what we collected. Did we capture your voices? And they were able to input, oh, you missed out a few of these. And I think that was really, really fundamental for us. And that's why we even have direct quotes. For instance, local and national actors drive community change, but face resource gaps and unequal donor terms. So there are certain strategic statements that we just got them raw and we didn't just change anything. Other than that, how else are we trying to ensure that these voices get to the policymakers, get to the government, get to the donor community, get to where we want the changes to be done? We've been part of the processes of launching quality assurance mechanisms in Uganda that was funded by the European Union and led by Care International in Uganda. So the CARE also led a research on how women-led women rights organization can be at the front line of locally led development. And here they guided us to clearly indicate what are the 3 issues in the position paper that they can align themselves to. So, now when you look in that paper, the local actors or the communities that we interacted with see international actors as the donor community. Interesting. One of the learnings or discoveries. So the donor community is actually interested in this locally led paper, and we are now seeing how do we share results from this paper to influence their localization strategy. So being part, adapting some of the things with funders like Code Aid has also been very key for us. So the strategy is every time they're asking us to go and share the findings, we are readily available to share the findings. We've also seen the British High Commission ask us to share the report with them. So we are going to also now employ a strategy of now going donor to donor. These are our findings. We have over 200 local actors that are together. How can we do collective programming? What do you have there that can lead to enhancing what these people are already doing in terms of local philanthropy, in terms of driving change in the community? So proper documentation of the voices, awareness creation from local to national to regional to global, sharing the paper with strategic influencers in terms of donors, in terms of intermediaries, in terms so that they can institutionalize change in the way they work. Because some of the things that are coming out is the issues, the inequities of power when they are working towards driving locally led development. And yet there should be collaboration rather than us seeing power dynamics. So for us to see them ask for the paper to guide their institutionalization of locally led development is critical for us. Recently, we were invited by Humanitarian INGO Network to also talk about the paper, because we are now beginning to look at humanitarian not as a response, but from a resilience building perspective. So the nexus perspective, humanitarian development and peace nexus, but then with the locally led development agenda. How do you utilize the already available resources within your communities to drive change in terms of development, so that by the time you get external support, you're already somewhere. So those are the approaches that we have employed. How do we get to the donor community? How do we get to the intermediaries? How do we also ensure that the feedback that we are getting from there gets back to the local communities? We are also ensuring that some of the leaders that we established at the community, I can see Mate is in this room, are linked up to other global or regional decision-making spaces where their voices can be heard further. So acting as the pivot through which we can recommend local actors that we found doing tremendous work with or without funding in the community for better support or for their ideas to be shared, or how they're driving locally led development to be shared in a bigger space rather than in the community where they are not seen, and yet we recognize them as local heroes. Over to you, Tarisai.
Thank you so much, Naomi. I really like the fact of capturing the community voices and not altering them, and really communicating their key asks, as we would say, within our local leadership lab. But Marlene, who is joining us here, she is saying she's curious if you also looked at the skin in the game and what communities can contribute and how that shifts power and create emergent leadership. Marlene, would you want to unmute and just elaborate on that question?
Yeah, thanks so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Marlene Ogawa. I'm based in Johannesburg, South Africa. Thanks so much for the presentation and for the research. It's so helpful. I know that in some cases we've been talking about communities contributing, and yes, sometimes sweat equity. But I'm also wondering whether at times communities contribute financially, and it might be small amounts, but whether there is that kind of engagement, and if you've looked at it, does it create a deeper sense of commitment, sense of ownership, and so a sense of kind of emergent leadership from the community? I know there always is, but does that create more diverse leadership as well? Yeah, I'm curious about that, and if anyone in this space have tried it. Thanks.
Thank you, Marlene. I see an issue of how are you dealing with power in the communities, but how are you also recognizing the local resource mobilization structures in the community. I'll give an example at CAP 8 right now. We didn't receive funding for our usual rehabilitation and skilling program at the Home of Hope in northern Uganda for children and the girl child who are survivors of gender-based violence. But then we got walk-ins of the communities who are saying they're willing to contribute money. And they even decided how much money they will contribute so that their girls can be taken on board into the Home of Hope for the rehabilitation and skilling program. So 200,000 is roughly 70 USD. But then for us to maintain one girl at the Home of Hope, it will cost us about $250 for the 6 months that we maintain them at the Home of Hope. So because the community pushed us and they're already suggesting how they can contribute towards this, we had to look for resources to contribute and match the community contribution towards the work so that we can have the program resumed as demanded by the community. Now, as we went down on ground, so many actors, actually, if you see in that report, about 43% of funding is actually and 30%, 10% of the 200 local and national actors that we interacted with are not receiving funding, but they're doing awareness on gender-based violence. They're mobilizing women for what they call small circles. They're called, we could call them voluntary internal lending and saving corporations. And they're trying to make as small as a capital of $300 for a women group of 20. They're already doing something. So in our report, we say, can we recognize local philanthropy? And how do we build on the local philanthropy that is there? So we have situations where women are doing community gardening, where you come in groups, go and do gardening somewhere so that somebody can have bulk yield. But also then again, you keep on in circles. You dig your colleague's garden, another one, another, so that this person can be able to dig a bigger plot and then also have more yields. And then it is from that
Hi,
that they get the proceeds to
I'm
sell.
Adira. Hello, Lauren.
So
How are you all
there are
doing?
very many examples on ground that are actually transforming the communities. Now, our shock in discovery is, why don't we recognize these groups, these informal structures that are driving change in the community? But it's simply because of the what I would, for lack of better words, it's because of the colonial structure that has been put in place, that, oh, now if you ask such a women group, they're already doing great work. But if you ask them for external audited report, they won't even know what you're talking about. If you ask them for system procedures, they won't even know, but they're actually doing tremendous work. So in local leadership development, we are saying, how do we recognize these and build them up, build their resilience so that they can attract more support externally? Over.
Thank you so much, Naomi, for the response and also the question that came through. Matt is also adding on to say local philanthropy is key, and it may not specifically mean money, but also other intangible resources. So Marlene, just to respond, there's a research called Sister, Brother, or Someone Who Cares. It really elaborates on the questions that you have asked. And I think I conducted the research speaking to women in the Eastern Cape. The realization was that they're always ready to give, but when they give with so much humility, where they'll even, the sound of their voice will be like, I only have this much. So it's the reminder that this little you think is little, with a bigger donor in quotes, it brings the same decision-making power on the table. It dismantles the power imbalance or for those who have and have nots. So I would encourage you to just read that report if you get a chance. But coming back to our discussion, I would want to just go back to Hope and just hear more on the, she spoke about the women's cycles. Hope, is it possible for you to just share more on how grassroots initiatives like the market women's cycles have really changed livelihoods at a practical level? What is moving? What is changing? What are you seeing?
Thank you very much, Tarisai. So, like I said, we work, FAMFOT is a feminist organization, and we mainly work with women. And some of those women are the market women, the refugee-led organizations, the women, and then alumni associations, still about women. So the market women started with, so with FAMFOT, what our strength is creating awareness. Like if you pass on this knowledge of the need of localizing funding, of the need of local philanthropy, not that it has not been there, it has been there, but it has been overshadowed by international philanthropy. So so these women, we have given them knowledge on collaborative advocacy, capacity building, on how they can do maybe social enterprises aside their work as market women. We also work with women in sports. They also small grassroots organizations, like in different diversities. So they come up with this circle where they come and contribute a certain amount of money, and then they can borrow. Anyone who wants can borrow to add in their businesses. So you see how that has helped them not to go out there to look for other fundings out there or come to us to start lobbying for them. They easily get this money from their circles. Also, I can give you an example of someone was talking about giving. It may not be financial. You go, we have gone to implement in remote areas, and then because we are having donor money that is limiting us, we can't do so much. So in the East, we reach there and girls do not have pads, but we have the knowledge of making reusable pads. We taught them how to make reusable pads. We used peer educators model. So we taught them how to make reusable pads. And the interesting part of it was these women were like, no, give us the knowledge. We can, because we wouldn't teach the whole community, train the whole community. But the women were like, no, don't worry, give us the knowledge. We're going to go and teach others or train others on how to make reusable pads. So you see how giving, local giving is that simple. It's not even just the financial. It's even giving us a place. You go in the village and someone's like, use my compound to train these women, you know? So yeah, that we have made sure that we deliberately share resources, mentorship, and leadership opportunities with the grassroots women groups, rather than imposing external agendas. And you know how it feels when you're the one who is giving, like when it's coming from you, there's more responsibility, there's more feel in what you're doing, because you know it's our money, it's our property, it's us doing this. It gives them more zeal and more motivation to work. So FemFort mainly does the passes on the knowledge and the awareness, and then that's how the women we work with in the local communities get motivated to do local development. Thank you, Tarisai.
Thank you so much, Hope, for those insights. And I love the engagement that is going on in the chats just to enrich our discussion. But at this moment, it will be unfair just to keep hearing the voices of the speakers only. I would want to open the floor to our participants. If you have a question or a contribution, or if you have had an aha moment during the discussion that has been going on, please, can you just unmute and share your reflections? We would really love to hear from you. Any takers met? Would you want to say something? I think you are our biggest contributor this afternoon on the chat. You can go ahead and just unmute and share your reflections or anything of interest that you've picked up so far. Yeah, as we wait for people to gather their thoughts, maybe Jonathan, I would want to throw it back to you. You spoke about the interesting social enterprises that are being implemented in Tanzania to promote locally led development. But how do you ensure that you are not just running these as businesses, but you are centering community needs rather than financial goals?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question because any social enterprise is identified as a social enterprise if it is connected, if it is solving social problems. And if it is not solving a social problem, then that is just termed as a normal business. And therefore, for us, we call it, we believe that our initiatives are social enterprise because they are connected to social problems. Starting with our avocado farm. So our mission is not only farming avocado, but actually being a game changer in the avocado sector in Tanzania. We are bringing in new technologies and new farming practices, which will definitely increase the yield of the avocado farms. And so in order for us to show, to preach the gospel, which we also act, we need to put into practice from our own farm. So apart from that, we are training other farmers around the community, and from that practice which we do, we make our farm be as a demo plot. So that one makes other farmers around to come and learn and also practice the same knowledge that they are taking from our farm. That is one angle, but the second angle is the employability. We employ people from the same community, young people who are willing to work in the same farm. And there are different areas where they can be working, from just working for getting wages, but also working to get knowledge. For example, the budding. When you want to bud an avocado tree, to make it be a hybrid and produce so quickly, that's also an angle where we are putting in young people, and then after that, it becomes their business. So that, to us, we define it as a social issue, and because it triggers for employability, and people from that people can get money. So that is one. Moving to our water project, I think I explained that in this community, there is no water. You need to walk around 10 kilometers for you to get water to and fro. And if you go in that community, you ask what do they want first, they will say water. And the government has not brought in water in that community. So we thought of bringing water, but we don't just want to bring water to give it for free, because then there has to be a sustainability of that project, but also making sure that the people who are working in the same in that business, they get paid, but also some extra money goes to the organization. And it is, by the way, a proposal from the community. They also don't want to get water for free. So to us, we don't probably look at the money that comes at first, but we look at the social challenge which we are solving, and that becomes a social enterprise. The same for sunflower farming. We are the only processor, actually a small scale processor in the community, and we are triggering much production because people have not been farming sunflower because there is no any off-taker of the produce. And they also work, they walk long kilometers, long way to access where they can crush their sunflower and get cooking oil. So now bring it into that community, and we don't. So if we were to be just doing it in a business way, we would probably prefer to do it in town where there are many people, the market is big, but we go into communities believing that not only solving and not only intending to get money, but solving social problem. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for putting that on record so that it just doesn't become a financial scheme, but there is the balance of promoting the social cohesion and also responding to the social needs for the community. But as we go towards wrapping up this conversation, Naomi, if you could just share with us, like, what are some of the opportunities for strengthening community-led development? And if you have any key asks to donors, to local actors, to the intermediaries, what would those be?
Thanks, Teresa. The opportunities, first of all, Uganda promotes locally led development through its local economic development policy. So for us as actors, because the policy is clear, it emphasizes partnership between local government, the private sector, and communities to mobilize resources and also drive economic growth while aligning to the national development goals. So as the community, as actors fronting locally led development, how can we maximize utilization of this policy to ensure that it's actually practically realized on ground? That is a role for us. There is already a policy that drives the agenda. How do we utilize it to ensure that we get it from paper to practice? I think that's an opportunity for us in Uganda as a country. Locally led development centers on empowering local stakeholders, individuals and communities, including governments. The research that we have has brought together over 200 local actors, last mile actors. This is already a network. This is already a group of people doing great work in the community. It's an opportunity for us. How do we then utilize this local expertise, this network, this group of people to drive locally led development in the 7 regions of Uganda? I think that is also an opportunity. And then finally, the dynamics, the power dynamics is going down. We are seeing many, I was reading a report this afternoon, I can't remember the title. I'll share it when I get it here. It was shared by someone called Sumruti. It's showing that we are seeing many foundations institutionalizing or changing their systems and work approach to uptake locally led development. How do we tap into these opportunities so that, like I was telling Code Aid recently, you be the voice for locally led development in your spectrum so that we can gather a bigger influence and bigger conversions towards locally led development as an agenda. Now, our 3 Us come from the report, from the voices of over 200 local actors that we interacted with, in terms of they're already in existence, they're already contributing their little resources within their respective communities. So if anyone wants to add on to the work that they're doing, it's important for them to recognize the local expertise, the local networks, and utilize them, but utilize them to drive locally led development with quality funding and equitable partnerships, such that we can downplay these power relations if we appreciate the local expertise, the local contributions that are already on ground, so that we appreciate that we are not coming from nowhere. There's already work on ground. What you're doing is just building on it. So there should be equity and not so much power relations, and also quality funding that allows institutional development. It's important for us to also invest in capacity of the local and last mile actors. And finally, documentation and investment in existing local groups, local communities, local knowledge, and local philanthropy is key. Over.
Thank you so much, Naomi. Just crossing over to Jonathan, please briefly, if you can share the emerging lessons for strengthening community-led development, given the work that you have been doing, and any key asks that you might have to donors, intermediaries, or local actors, or even your government.
Well, so what I can say, Talisai, I think I was reading one of the comment from, I think, Jocas. And he made a point that in this shrinking space of the funding, social enterprising is the way to go. And I really appreciate and I concur with him because yeah, I mean, the situation tells by itself. And we need to reach a point where we do not only end up on identifying our problems, but also discussing and real analyzing solutions, and try to be a little bit, protecting our dignity. We don't need to be crying all the time to people out there while being blind on the resources that we have around us. I think that is very, very important. And to our governments as well, and I'm very proud that in Tanzania, we already have a strategy, the non-governmental organization sustainability strategy. And I was reading that strategy. Among the options that they indicated in the strategy, one is community philanthropy, and this is around mobilizing and sensitizing people to have behavior of giving, to see our problems as our problems. And whenever we have a space of contributing to the solutions of these problems, let's do that. That is very key. And another thing which they also mentioned in that strategy is social enterprise. Because money comes from businesses. That is, I mean, it's a principle, like a global principle, it's a world principle, that even governments gets money from businesses in the name of taxes. Religious people, religious leaders, they get money from businesses in the name of offerings and tithes. Like everywhere, even like the traditional healers, they get money from businesses. So if money comes from businesses, why are we limited to do business? Yeah, we just need to dive into that. Maybe a point to make, which, for example, I mean, it's a shortfall for our government, is that we are yet to categorize social enterprises and conventional businesses. When we come to realize that profit which is made from social enterprise do not go into Jonathan's pocket, but rather it goes to complement the work that the government is supposed to do, which is development, then they'll waive the taxes and other levies that are imposed on businesses, and that will help these social enterprises to grow and eventually to make local actors and development actors to be much more sustainable. So, I mean, I rest my case on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Why can't we make money if we have the ability to make money from businesses? Yeah. It's hitting home. Hope, your thoughts and your asks. Please go ahead and share.
Thank you very much, Tarisai. This has been really an insightful webinar. I've learned a lot, and I know many people have learned. So I'll go straight to some of the lessons that we have learned is that the locally led development thrives when communities are treated as partners rather than beneficiaries. For example, the way I told you how we collaborate with market women, with the women in sports, like you don't treat them like beneficiaries. See how you can also, let's say, we will go to the markets, Farm for team will go to the markets and buy their food and buy their, like treat them as partners. It is easy. They feel like they belong. They even have good ideas because you're making them feel like this is their thing. They are part of us. Okay. So another strong thing is the strong collaborations that we need. I know building trust and collaborations among non-traditional and traditional, it requires time, care, and consistency. But once achieved, it strengthens accountability, ownership, and impact. I'll give you a case in point where, so last year, there was an anti-corruption demonstration by CSOs. It was big. People went to the parliament. People were arrested, you know, and all this time we were protesting. The business groups did not come up. The alumni groups did not come up. The other groups did not come up. The business groups, like I said, did not come up. The corporate groups is what I wanted to say, did not come up. They did show us up. Then time came when the business organizations also had an issue with AFRI's taxes. That was a high-tech tax on their imports, I think. And then they also protested. What did the CSOs do? We also sat back and kept and looked at them go through their protesting. But this lack of solidarity limited the impact of both actions. Stronger collaborations and mutual support across different sectors would have yielded more powerful and unified outcomes. Imagine if we came out CSOs and the traditional and non-traditional, and we are fighting corruption, which affects all of us. And all the different sectors also joined us. And then when also these taxes, every taxes come up, we are also, so there's need for solidarity, need for supporting each other in all our diversities, in all our sectors. There is that need. But also, like I was saying, another point is supporting each other. So when Frankfurt has, we are also a social enterprise, and one thing we have done is also passing, like I said, our strength is creating awareness. We have created awareness of the need of social enterprises. And in this, we also look at the litigation part of it, because one thing that has led to shrinking civil society is because of the litigation part of it. People don't know. If I want to become maybe I'm a small organization, I also want to venture into social enterprise. Do I just start? The government will come for you the next day because you have not gone through the litigation part of it. So we have referred to them. We work with WPI, that is Women Pro Bono Initiative. So we refer to them to WPI so that they take them through the litigation process so that they know how to be compliant as they do the social enterprises. Another thing also, we also have a resilience fund initiative where we have a small shop that like a social enterprise. But what we do, we go and support these women who do local crafting. We get their goods and sell them, we buy from them. But also during events that we have events, we invite different women that have different businesses to come and showcase or sell off their things. Yeah. Yes, thank you very much, Teresa.
Thank you so much, Hope. Matt, do you have just a burning short point as we are running out of time? Please go ahead.
Thank you, Jakara, for this opportunity, and greetings from Uganda. My name is Mate Jokas. I work with Wilmot Development Foundation Uganda, a youth-powered organization that is championing locally led approaches, especially in livelihoods, health, and also civic participation, including peace building. Yeah, I also, in line with what Jonathan has shared and all the presenters of today, it has been actually a powerful team that you really put together. If I was going to give you a high five, I would pass it through the camera. You know, one of the things is that today's survival is through social enterprise. And we have also to make sure that now the social enterprises we are putting in place are really compliant to the day-to-day policies of our governments. Because yes, our NGO acts allow us to be more creative in raising resources. And what they are encouraging currently is local philanthropy, for you to raise resources locally and also be able to give back to community. So when you're establishing a social enterprise, the question will be on where do the profits go? That means it goes back to your work. Is it only producing a good, but also providing a service? For example, Jonathan may be good at helping CBOs, like the ones who have been consulted through the Local Leadership Labs project in developing proposals or in legalizing their entities from just being a CBO to an NGO. All those are services you can offer pro bono, of course, but at a small fee, which can also raise resources. Like what normally I do at my end is that you shouldn't survive on the NGO itself or the work you do, but also putting that consultancy aspect, make it as a social enterprise so that now it raises resources that actually can be used and we make Africa great. Asante.
Thank you so much. Parting on that very, very interesting note of making Africa great. Well, I would really want to thank you on behalf of the Africa Philanthropy Network for joining us this afternoon. Our incredible speakers, you have been really, really incredible. And your insights, the questions that have come through, they really made this engagement really possible. But as we close off this engagement, there are some few notes that I've been taking. And what I can say that from the research that has been spoken and mentioned and made reference to by the Kappa AIDS Uganda, it really confirms what many of us have for long really felt. The barriers to locally led development are not a lack of capacity at the local level, but they are often a matter of power, trust, and resource flow. I would always say that the evidence is undeniably present through that research. And secondly, from the grassroots strategies that have been shared by Tubutu Africa Initiative, our member in Tanzania, and also to the powerful movement building work that Fort Uganda is doing. We have really seen that the solutions are already there and they are being designed and led by communities themselves. Our role is not to invent something new, I would say, but to really listen and learn and learn, as Jonathan said, and not let external finances or any other form of finances get in the way. And also today, I feel like this is not just a conversation, but is highlighted, I would say that for funders and international NGOs, there is need to really cede decision-making power and adopt flexible long-term funding that helps to create trust and put the local expertise in the lead. Our good organizations that have been on this webinar. And also just for local actors and movements to continue building solidarity, documenting our work, and advocating for the space for resources we deserve. And for our network, this is our pledge. We'll continue doing exactly what we are doing, convening, amplifying, championing the voice and action of philanthropy at a regional and at a global platform. And if you are interested in becoming a member of APN, I'll ask my colleague Kelvin to just drop the link in the chat. Please submit your application. We'll review it and we'll see if you're fit to be an APN member, or you're fit to be a friend of APN, but we always bring our friends on board. So please do follow our work across the APN social media platforms, and also Capades Uganda, Fort Uganda, Tubutu Africa Initiative. They are all online. Let's stay connected and carry this conversation forward. And we look forward to more conversations such as this. I hope this has been insightful. We'll share the recording with all the participants and those who could not join us. But from the bottom of my heart, I thank you so much for your time today. Yeah.
Thank you for the great facilitator.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tarisai.
A group photo, Tarisai.
Oh yes, most importantly, some people have dropped off. Those who are able, can you please switch on your cameras and just give us the best locally led development smile that is possible? And we have a group photo. Please just briefly turn off your cameras. Let's see who is here. And we have our beautiful Group photo. Thanks, Amos, Mackenzie, Olga. It's only now that I'm seeing some of our family members as APN who are here. Yolisa, Stella, Marshall, thank you so much. Peter, Gloria, Marlene, thank you all. I cannot mention you all by names. Kelvin, are you ready for us? Should we smile?
Yes, yes, I am ready.
Okay.
You can put on your good smile and then we take a photo. Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a pleasant afternoon, evening, mornings, depending on where you are. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.